Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into the core philosophies of a seriously fascinating 2008 lecture all about redefining success, wealth, and ambition. If you've ever felt, kind of conflicted about wanting to be successful, or if you've just wondered about the deeper mechanics behind massive achievement, well, you're in the right place. We're going to give you a lot to chew on today.
So, our main source material today is this text, Prosperity Thinking. And let me tell you, it does not shy away from bold claims. It literally lays out what it calls the law for attracting infinite wealth, and even claims this exact mindset can change an entire nation's future. It's a huge vision, so let's break down its foundational arguments step by step.
To make sense of all this, we'll run through four main pillars today: affirming wealth, money is time, conquering fear, and finally, great ambition. All right, let's dive into Section 1, affirming wealth and prosperity thinking. Right off the bat, the source aggressively challenges that traditional guilt so many of us feel about financial success. It basically outlines this stark clash of ideologies. On one side, you've got a guilt-driven view of wealth. The author frames this as being rooted in left-wing thought, arguing that it essentially demonizes successful people. Now, to be clear, we're not here to take political sides, just to unpack the argument. But on the flip side is the prosperity view. This is the core assertion that money, when it's used to make people happy, is a fundamental good. In this framework, actually affirming wealth is step one to creating wider happiness in society.
Moving right along to Section 2, money is time.
This brings us to a pretty massive paradigm shift. We've all heard the old saying, time is money, right? Well, the author completely flips that on its head, using this mantra, money is time. It sounds super simple, but the implications for how you live and work are actually huge. Here's what they mean. By saying money is time, the source is arguing that wealth is essentially a tool you use to buy hours, days, and years back into your own life. Think about it. When you have financial resources, you don't have to grind away at every single mundane task. You can delegate. You can hire experts. Possessing wealth gives you the freedom to literally buy time, and that in turn empowers you to scale your work and create a much bigger, much more positive impact on the world. You're not just hoarding cash, you are stockpiling time to do greater things.
Okay, Section 3, conquering fear of the unknown.
So how do we actually get there? According to the lecture, there's this really beautiful paradox to success. Step one is actually focusing on the happiness of others, not yourself. Then, step two requires you to fight the fear of the unknown with absolute courage. No self-limitation allowed. The result? Wealth and status aren't things you get by chasing them directly with greedy hands. Instead, they're granted as a natural, almost inevitable byproduct to people who put others first and bravely step into the unknown.
This whole concept really makes you pause, doesn't it? It forces us to ask, what self-imposed limits are holding you back from the unknown right now? The author strongly suggests that it's usually not a lack of resources stopping us. It's actually a lack of courage to step into the dark and just trust that focusing on others will eventually light the way to our own prosperity.
And finally, Section 4, Persuasion and Great Ambition.
Now we step out of our own heads and into the external arena of business. And the source definitely doesn't sugarcoat this part. It frames business success as an all-out war between individuals. But wait, it's not a war fought with malice. It's a battle of ideas and execution. To win this war, you need a very specific arsenal. First up, you've got to cultivate incredibly high persuasive power to get people on board with your vision. Second, that persuasion can't just be a cheap trick. It has to be backed by absolute, unwavering sincerity. And finally, you need a boundless, truly great ambition. Without that massive ambition, you just won't have the fuel to push through the resistance you're bound to face in this arena. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought drawn straight from today's philosophy. We've seen the argument that affirming wealth is a good thing, that money is actually a tool to buy time, and that ultimate success goes to the courageous and the sincere. So, if wealth is merely a tool to buy time for the happiness of others, how big is your ambition? Are you thinking big enough? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.